You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Oh yeah, baby, that's lovely.
Good morning. I was busy listening to the tunes. And welcome to Psychedelics and Cannabis Education. Today with Rev Kelly and myself, Al Graham. We're live here from the Legacy420.com news desk, and we're live at paceradio.net and cbgtv.com. Good morning, Rev Kelly. How you doing?
It's so good. Happy Monday. It's a nice freezing cold Monday again. It's so cold out there.
Yeah, well, the good news in the weather forecast part of the broadcast is that over the next 2 weeks, we're going to see a lot of plus temperatures.
Ooh, I like that for January. That's good news. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You might thaw out your porcupine, Al. You might have the porcupine come out thinking that it's time to come out of hibernation.
Well, because he's in the culvert, once the snow starts to melt, the water is going to start coming down through the culvert where it's living, and it's going to end up getting flushed out.
Yeah, it's coming out.
Yeah,
it's coming out.
Yeah, coming out. It's coming out. That's right. Yeah. For anybody who wonders, I have a porcupine living in the culvert under my driveway. Yeah. All right, shall we get on with the news?
Absolutely.
First story up. Headline comes to us from Global News. Says RCMP eases cannabis use policy for officers.
Yes, what a win. Yeah, it's eased their policy use by members, saying simply that they must be fit for duty when reporting for work.
Yeah, same as with alcohol, I would assume, right? Yeah. The new substance use policy replaces a 2018 one that required frontline officers and many other employees in safety-sensitive positions to refrain from recreational cannabis use for 4 weeks before duty.
Wow. The change is implemented earlier this month, and it brings the Mounties in line with many other police forces on employee pot use.
The National Police Federation, which represents nearly 20,000 RCMP members, welcomed the move, saying the previous policy was not consistent with the police universe.
Wow, that opens up a lot here. A recent statement from Federation President Brian Sauve notes that union committees have been advocating for review and modernization of the policy since 2020. Wow.
Yeah, it's been a while, obviously, eh? The RCMP acknowledged last summer the 2018 policy was under review with no final decision. A spring of 2023 briefing note prepared the RCMP Commissioner Michael Denham had recommended a 24-hour restriction on cannabis use before reporting to work with some exceptions.
Okay, so here's a quote. Policing organizations that initially had a zero tolerance or 28-day restriction have or are moving towards either a fit for duty or 24-hour abstinence requirement, or a combination of both, said the briefing note. That was obtained last year by the Canadian Press.
There you go. The Police Federation had advised the RCMP that one of the most common inquiries at recruiting sessions related to recreational cannabis use policy, the note added.
Now, the new policy says all RCMP employees must be fit to perform their duties and carry out their responsibilities and must not be impaired by drugs, alcohol, or other substances when on duty or at work.
And that would be just like everybody else. Yeah. Right? Exactly the same. Substance use can adversely affect job performance, conduct the work environment, and the well-being of the users and of others, and can compromise the safety and security of policing services, according to the RCMP website.
Sure, just alcohol and, opiates and anything like that too. But they had to wait all of this time for the change from 4 weeks. They couldn't
Yeah.
consume they could have
So-
alcohol. There was nothing in there that said anything about alcohol or their opiate pills, but the plant,
Yeah.
4 weeks. 4
For,
weeks.
yeah.
It adds that the risk of impairment from substances such as cannabis use varies depending on the person, use patterns, and product quality.
As a result, impairment may differ from one user to another and from one use episode to another. The most effective way to avoid any risk is to abstain from use.
The RCMP said it reviewed all aspects of the force's operation in crafting the new policy.
RCMP members work across Canada in a unique operating environment as first responders in rural and remote communities and can be called back for duty at any time, the policy says.
Sure.
Mhm.
They've made no comment on the new policy, but they say that the police excludes underwater the policy excludes underwater divers and pilots who must continue to follow the requirements of their professional governing bodies. And we know that the pilots have a zero tolerance. You can't have any in
Yeah,
your system when you're going to fly.
yeah,
It must be the same
exactly.
for divers.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
the 4 week policy, so they could consume and then they couldn't report to work for 4 weeks.
Right.
So
So you have to have a vacation for 4 weeks if you want to consume your
yeah.
medicine.
This is what
Yeah.
I'm thinking. Like, come on, this doesn't seem
Cannabis in
right.
any form, right? 4 weeks.
4
So, I
weeks.
mean, if they're having a vacation, and they don't have to report for duty for a couple of weeks, it's the same as, they have a case of beer or whatever, and then they go back. Like, this is a normal thing. If they're using it for intoxication, allow for that. If it's medicine, they're using it in a way that they wouldn't be intoxicated on duty. So,
Yeah. All right. On to our next story. And it is coming to us from UPI. Headline says marijuana use linked to impaired driving among seniors.
seniors, oh my goodness. Many
Yeah.
studies found that getting high on cannabis and then getting behind the wheel is dangerous for young drivers, but new research is finding no different for seniors.
In a driving simulator experiment, seniors who were long-term cannabis smokers were weaving in and out of their lanes 30 minutes after getting high. Canadian researchers report.
Wow. Okay. The
Mhm.
effect was not seen when the same drivers were tested again 3 hours after smoking cannabis. However, the seniors themselves still rated their ability to drive as impaired.
There was one silver lining. Senior tokers tended to slow their driving speed once high, perhaps because they knew they were intoxicated, as a team led by Patricia DiCedino, a scientist at the Center for Addiction and Mental Health in Toronto.
So Sano's team noted that the percentage of aging boomers who regularly use cannabis continues to rise. We know that.
Yeah. They believe that older adults may be particularly affected by cannabis, given age-related changes in cognition. Many seniors are also prescribed medications, and the combination of those meds with cannabis could also be problematic.
Sure, that's a really good point. That interaction and then going behind the wheel of a car for sure. Well, there's been lots of study on the effect of cannabis on young drivers. The effects of cannabis on driving among seniors remains unknown, according to the Toronto team.
Yeah. To help answer the question, they recruited 31 seniors, averaging about 69 years of age, to sit in a special virtual driving simulator.
It's very interesting. All participants were long-time frequent cannabis users, 40 years on average, and all were told
Oh,
to come to the experiments with their preferred type of legal cannabis. Then they were told to smoke the cannabis at their usual amount. What an interesting study.
I would have liked to have been involved in this, but I'm
Yeah,
not over
yeah.
69.
No,
Each participant's driving skills were then tested in the simulator at 2 time points, 30 minutes after getting high, and then again at the 180 mark.
the significant evidence of weaving appeared at the 30-minute mark. although drivers also tended to slow down at this point, the research noted. How interesting.
This wandering in and out of lanes appeared to disappear by the 180-minute mark, according to the group. However, when inquired, participants still rated their ability to drive at 180 minutes as impaired, according to the report.
Yeah. So blood samples were taken during the experiments, and THC levels were above the legal threshold for driving for most participants. They noted.
Now, how much, they said just partake like you would normally partake. So I'm assuming that they smoked a joint. So would that mean that
Yeah.
after smoking a joint, you're over that limit, right?
Yeah. According to the blood.
They said that there's a theory that people who've regularly smoked cannabis for decades might build up a tolerance, so perhaps the driving skills wouldn't be affected. The new study proved that theory false, they say.
Interesting. Based on the findings, cannabis can impair driving in older adults when they smoke their usual products. That's what the team concluded. Their advice: older drivers should refrain from using cannabis when contemplating operation of a motor vehicle. Okay.
There you go. So,
Interesting.
yeah, seniors getting high behind the wheel, and it's good to see that they do note that the driving ability, they slow down. They never talked about, well, I guess they did mention within the first 30 minutes that they are weaving
Right.
on the road, eh?
And then a couple of hours later, not so much, but they still said that they felt impaired. I like that they mentioned the part about the interaction with the other drugs, because there's a lot of seniors that are on a lot of other medication, because it definitely could interact, and that could affect the driving for sure.
Yep. All right, on to our next story. This one comes from StratCan. Headline there says 3-month decline in retail cannabis sales in 2023.
That's right. They continued to decline in Canada from a peak in August 2023, and that's according to new figures from Stats Canada.
Cannabis sales reached a record high of $598 million in the summer of 2023 before experiencing 3 straight months of decline, ending with sales of $511 million in November of the same year.
Wow. Sales in November 2023 were still higher than November 2022 at $445 million, and the same as the previous year's peak of sales in December, which was also $511 million. All numbers are using retail sales at 2017 constant prices.
Okay, because I was going to wonder about that, because we've been talking about how the prices have been coming down and down and down. So obviously when prices come down, it's harder to get those higher numbers because you have to sell more product, right?
Right.
Yeah. Cannabis sales have declined every November since 2020 before experiencing a boost in December and another decline in January and February, a trend seen in many retail sectors. In November 2022, sales dropped to $411 million from a peak of $471 million that August. Before peaking at $511 for the year, sales fell to $442 million in February of 2023.
Very interesting.
You can see on the graph there, right?
Yeah. Sales still show increases in an annual basis. The 3-month decline in retail cannabis sales in 2023 was the steepest overall decline since legalization. The decline comes at a time when both the cannabis industry and the broader Canadian economy are facing challenges, with consumer spending in many sectors declining, including food and beverages and beer and wine.
The number of retail stores across Canada also continues to grow, although the pace has slowed considerably to the first 4 compared to the first 4 years of legalization. As of October 2023, there were 4,194 cannabis stores in Canada, excluding provincial online stores. Almost 4,200.
4,200.
420, yeah.
In Canada, coast to coast. Wow. Who else can say that? What other nation can say that? Of course,
Right.
British Columbia is the number 1, with Alberta second. The Yukon has 6. Go Yukon.
Yeah, Nunavut's only got one.
It's okay. We'll get them some more.
Yeah. There's Ontario, 1,778. They're leading the
Yeah.
pack. Yeah. Alrighty. Here we go. Sales are in a little bit of decline, but like they say, it's no different than any other industry that's out there.
Well, everything is declining and people can't spend their money, but and people buy more things in December. It's Christmas, right? That's why
It was
they're saying it's
Christmas.
up
That's
for
right.
Christmas.
And
It's down now. Yeah,
yeah, especially when it comes to small towns. You got to have a good Christmas in order to get you to March, because January and February things slow
absolutely.
down, right? Winter comes in, no one wants to go out. People are paying their visa bills off from the Christmas time.
Yeah.
You know? All right, on to our next story. This one comes to us from the Fresh Toast. Headline on it says, American Nurses Association publicly supports rescheduling.
Wow. Bravo. In the
Yes.
last election, President Biden promised to help the cannabis industry. 2 years into his term, he agreed to start the process. Now, joining the chorus of supporters, the American Nurses Association publicly supporting rescheduling. The medical community has recognized medical cannabis has significant medical benefits, especially in the fight against opiates.
Yes. The American Nurses Association joins bipartisan governors, Health and Human Services, U.S. Food and Drug Administration in recommending the change. ANA shared this in a public statement, and they say cannabis and its derivatives continue to be used to alleviate disease-related symptoms and side effects. The findings of anecdotal and controlled studies regarding the efficacy of patients' use are mixed. Current federal regulations impede the research necessary to evaluate and determine the therapeutic use of cannabis and related cannabinoids. This position statement does not extend to the current debate on the legalization of cannabis for recreational purposes. The goal is to develop an evidence-based approach to its use in the treatment of disease and symptom management.
Cannabis is currently a Schedule 1 drug listed among those considered to have no accepted medical use and have a high potential for abuse. This makes cannabis classified on the same level as heroin, LSD, MDMA, and psilocybin mushrooms.
And let's just see. The people use synthetic heroin all the time for painkillers.
Right.
LSD, MDMA, and psychedelic and mushrooms are all coming out with all the benefits when it comes to anxiety,
Yes,
depression, so on and so forth.
that's right.
Yeah, so it's not going to be the last one we're going to hear this
No.
argument over.
No.
About rescheduling. Schedule 3 drugs are defined as having a moderate to low potential for physical and psychological dependence. They currently include ketamine, anabolic steroids, testosterone, and acetaminophen with codeine.
Cannabis is currently a Schedule 1 drug listed among, skipping back over. They continued to state it is the shared responsibility of professional nursing organizations to speak for nurses collectively in shaping healthcare and to promulgate change for the improvement of health and healthcare. Therefore, the ANA strongly supports.
Scientific review of cannabis status as a Federal 1 controlled substance and relisting cannabis as a federal Schedule 2 controlled substance for the purpose of facilitating research.
Development of prescribing standards that includes indications for use, specific dose, route, expected effect, and possible side effects, as well as indications for stopping a medication.
Establishing evidence-based standards for the use of cannabis and related cannabinoids.
Protection from criminal or civil penalties for patients using the therapeutic cannabis and related cannabinoids as permitted under state laws.
Exemption from criminal prosecution, civil liability, and professional sanctioning, such as loss of license or credentialing for healthcare practitioners who discuss treatment alternatives concerning cannabis or who prescribe, dispense, or administer cannabis in accordance with provincial standards and state laws.
The Drug Enforcement Agency has made it clear that they are final authority for rescheduling, and it seems the Biden administration has not pushed towards a quick resolution. It would be unprecedented for the DEA to go against the recommendation of HHS and the FDA, but it does not mean it will follow or do it anytime soon. The statement from the ANA adds to pressure to the act.
Yeah. And let's hope they don't just have it laying around there and actually do something. So, all right. Last story before we go to break. This one comes to us from DW.com. And the headline on this one says, come on. There we go. German minister aims for cannabis legalization by spring.
Yes. Despite opposition within Germany's three-party governing coalition, Health Minister Karl Lauterbach still hopes for to legalize cannabis by submitting a bill to Parliament next month.
I am continuing to assume that the Cannabis Act will be passed by the Bundestag in the week between February the 19th and 23rd and will go into force from April the 1st. Lauterbach told the Sunday edition of Die Welt daily newspaper, adding that talks on the legislation were going well.
April is an excellent month. The coalition, which consists of Social Democrats, includes Lauterbach and Chancellor Olaf Scholz. The Greens and the pro-business Liberals of the FDP agreed at the end of November to remove cannabis from the list of prohibited substances in previous legislation. The goal of legalizing cannabis is to include it in the coalition agreement.
According to the bill, adults will be allowed to grow and possess limited amounts of cannabis starting April the 1st. As of July 1st, clubs set up for collective cultivation will also be allowed. Oh, I know of a group that was fighting for that here in Canada.
Such a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
In an interview, Lauterbach said highly toxic concentrations in unauthorized products endangered consumers and mentioned the need to dry up the black market.
Controls distribution of cannabis is the right way to do this, combined with special protection for children and adolescents.
So who opposes cannabis legalization? Well, a number of Germany's 16 states, which are responsible for policing, have expressed concern over the legalization.
The southern state of Bavaria, governed by the conservative Christian Social Union, has repeatedly called for the liberalization to be blocked.
Wow, so we're getting opposition. Some SPD politicians have also expressed reservations, especially regarding the use of cannabis near schools.
In response, Lauterbach told them, we are told De Walt, we do not want cannabis smoked in the front of schools or daycare centers or for this, we have defined a distance of 100 meters as a prohibition zone to see that as a reasonable decision. He sees that.
While policing the measure could be difficult, he noted that the current black market has also proved difficult to police.
Yeah. So there you go. It's coming. It's coming. Let's
coming.
hope we get to talk about that in to start up in April. Boy, from the legislation to when it's going is a nice short little window in there. It's pretty speedy.
Love it.
So that's good.
They got
Yes,
everything ready.
exactly. All right. Time for us to take a break.
Okay.
And before we do that, I'm going to run a little short video, but Rev Kelly and I will be right back after a joint session. You're watching Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network, here at paceradio.net.
Cannabis edibles are an effective way to manage pain and other ailments, especially when you deal with your trusted partner, Legacy 420, in Tyendinaga Mohawk territory. You see, we lab test every product on site to ensure proper dosage every time, which is critical when consuming cannabis edibles. All Legacy 420 edibles are made by our classically trained baker and chocolatier, and we also have super tasty vegan options.
Our baker has been in the industry for 25 years. She's also a chocolatier. Everything from savory to sweet, your chocolate bars, brownies, butter tarts, you name it, we make it.
Talk to our knowledgeable Cannatex about our incredible variety available. Give your trusted partners a call. Legacy 420 out on your road.
In February of 2022, the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club and Ted Smith were fined $6.5 million. This for helping 8,500 patients with access to medical cannabis. In our interview with Ted, he spoke to us about how people can donate to help in an upcoming court challenge. And here is part of that interview. From what I've seen lately, I believe that you've got something that you're trying to do as far as fundraising to deal with this next court challenge.
For now, people can write checks directly to Jack Lloyd Law Corporation or send e-transfers to save the VCBC at gmail.com. I guess those are the two easiest ways for people to help right now.
PACE Radio is the People Advocating Cannabis Education Radio Network.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
Are you a cannabis content creator? Are you looking for a place to have your content seen? If you answer yes to both questions, then you need to check out cbgtv.com. CBG TV, broadcasting to a worldwide audience. Find us at cbgtv.com.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
And you're watching Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News. Well, Rev Kelly, 1, 2, 3. I see 5 stories up there. I see we got a full half hour. We should be able to get them all done.
Hey.
All right. First one up comes to us from the Entrepreneur, and the headline there says, New Jersey Regulators Approve Framework for Onsite Cannabis Consumption. Yes.
So good. In a significant move for the New Jersey cannabis market, the state has now opened the doors for the operation of cannabis consumption lounges at dispensaries. That's according to a report from news outlet NJ Biz. During a meeting on January 17th, the New Jersey Cannabis Regulatory Commission unanimously passed a regulatory framework that permits both medical dispensaries and recreational use retailers to establish on-site consumption spaces. Wow.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Last story, they had community gardens. Here they're talking about lounges. Come on, Canada. We need to change things, don't we? This development, initially proposed in December 2022, introduces a set of rules that detail the qualifications, application process, and the operational guidelines necessary for businesses interested in offering these consumption areas. The regulations specify that a cannabis business can operate only one consumption area, irrespective of the number of Class 5 retailer licenses or alternative treatment center dispensary permits it holds. Furthermore, these lounges are prohibited from selling food, but customers have the liberty to bring their own or have it delivered.
Oh my God.
What?
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. You bring your own lunch or you get a pizza delivered to you while you're, how amazing.
You can't buy a pizza in the store. Like what?
Wow. It's amazing. I love this model. Another critical aspect of these regulations is the allowance for medicinal cannabis patients to bring cannabis items from other retailers for personal use in these consumption areas.
Mhm.
According to the report, the sale of tobacco products and alcohol within these areas is strictly prohibited, as it should be. And the rules stipulate that patrons must be at least 21 years of age and present photo identification for entry. That's it. You just got to be 21, head there,
21.
bring your cannabis and consume it. That's amazing.
Yeah. And, a lot of that is similar to what we had here in Ontario before legalization.
Before?
Yeah, because we couldn't smoke tobacco in our vapor lounges. We couldn't
Right.
drink alcohol in our vapor lounges.
Right.
And the people here had to be 19.
Yep.
And yeah, so there was
Sure.
similar
And everybody
things.
was left alone.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
And they didn't sell pizzas or whatever, but they did have things like chocolate bars and so on and so forth.
Sure.
Munchies, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But why allow a place not to be able to make food, but yet turn around and allow people to bring the food in?
You can order it in, but anyway, I'll take it, Al. I'll take it.
Yeah. Licensing fee structures of these consumption areas is also delineated, with micro businesses retailers being charged $1,000 and standard retailers $5,000, as stated by the CRC. These endorsements, necessary for the operation of consumption areas, are valid for 1 year and require annual renewal.
That's not going to break the bank for these guys. That's not too bad. That's fantastic. Bless you. Jeff Brown, the executive director of the CRC, has assured that details on license applications will be available shortly, the report stated. Bless you. This announcement follows a 60-day public comment period initiated by the CRC. It's post the preliminary framework approval last winter. The finalized rules are expected to be published in the New Jersey Register next month, marking their official enactment.
As New Jersey joins a group of U.S. states that have embraced on-site cannabis consumption at dispensaries, the move reflects a broader shift towards more progressive cannabis policies and sets a precedent for other states considering similar regulations.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bravo, New Jersey. Bravo.
Bravo, New Jersey.
I love
Correct.
that they make room for medical patients. It's not just, they're not just talking about having, dispensaries open up and have lounges and stuff. They're saying we need places for medical patients to consume their cannabis and bring their own and order a pizza. New Jersey's got it.
Yeah. I know a guy who used to go to Toronto. He had cancer. He went to Toronto for treatments, and he would always visit the lounges while he was there because he could consume. Otherwise, he was.
Now he doesn't have a place.
Yeah.
Right. No, we know of some spots. We know some spots in Toronto. We'll send you to the places.
Good. All right, here we go. Our next story, headline on it says, growing cannabis illegal, even it's just for fun, according to the police. And this is the Taipei Times.
Oh. Police in Keelung last week urged police to temper their curiosity about cannabis horticulture and not buy seeds of the Category 2 drug online, as it remains illegal to use, grow, transport, and distribute.
Keelung City Police Department Criminal Investigation Division 2nd Corp Captain Lynn, just call him Lynn, on Monday last week said that while cannabis has medicinal uses, it remains illegal to import seeds and grow the plant in Taiwan.
Oh. It's illegal. Recently, several people have bought cannabis seeds online with the intent to grow, with a seller directly mailing packages to buyers to circumvent regulations. So they're getting them in through the mail, Al.
Yes, yeah, they are. The police department said it last year pursued more than 20 cases of people seeking to grow cannabis, most of whom had purchased the seeds over the internet. 20 people. Ooh.
Yeah, that's it. They're all coming from Thailand. Some of the buyers said that they intended to grow the plants for personal use. Others said they bought the seeds to challenge their horticulture skills, as they heard it could be difficult to cultivate, they said. Interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
You just
People on
wanted to
this side
try.
say just give it some dirt and water and you're done, right?
Yeah.
The cannabis agricultural enthusiasts, including office workers, engineers, foreign workers, and students, it said, after being alerted to graduate students seeking to buy cannabis seeds online. Well, the police obtained a warrant to search one of the students' apartments, it said.
They said the student told them that they were just curious about what the cannabis plant looked like. They just wanted to know what it looked like. Mr. Police Officer, adding they did not expect to succeed at growing one. They just wanted to see what it looked like.
Yeah.
Curious.
Another incident involved a worker from Thailand who told police that they grew cannabis for personal consumption, making a tea with the leaves, the police said.
Right, because Thailand, of course, for
Yeah.
now, has it a little bit legal. That's where I think they're getting their seeds from here.
Yeah.
Legal amendments in the past few years have adjusted the sentencing based on a person's intent for growing cannabis, whether for sale or personal use, if the act itself is illegal. That's from their lawyer representing them.
Under Article 13 of the Narcotics Hazardous Prevention Act, people convicted of transporting and selling cannabis seeds with the intent to provide for cultivation face a minimum of 2 years in prison and a fine of no more than $6,361 US.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, they're going to go to jail for 2 years for just having the
Yeah.
seeds that they were curious to look at. The legislative yuan in 2022 passed amendments to the act that changed the sentencing for people who grow cannabis for personal use without intent to distribute.
The sentence was reduced from the original 5 years in prison to a minimum of 1 year to a maximum of 7 years, he added. The amendment also reduced the fine from 5 million ND to a maximum of 1 million ND. That would be
So
their
as
goal.
much as we're joking here, this student that said he wanted to buy the cannabis seeds online to see what it looked like, he's going to jail for a year.
Could be
It's a
going for 2
minimum
years.
of 1 year he's going to jail for.
Could be.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah. That's why there's those global marijuana marches where people
Well,
still
we need to
need,
make
even
sure
though it's
that
legal
we're
here.
continuing with those. Yeah.
Yeah, even it's legal here,
Free the
that's not
plant.
really. Yeah. All right.
Terrible.
On to our next story. This one comes to us from MJ Biz Daily, and the headline on it says experts share their expectations for marijuana industry in 2024.
Yeah, here we go. From the next market to legalize adult use cannabis in New York's social equity licensing and low dose THC, MJ Biz Daily left no stone unturned during its first installment of the 2024 LinkedIn Live series.
Chris Cascia, a veteran business journalist who covers the retail cannabis sector for MJ Business Daily, performed a series of live interviews with industry experts, including
Karen O'Keefe, who's based in Denver from the Marijuana Policy Project.
Matt Limers, Toronto,
Oh.
MJ Biz Daily. I believe you know him.
Yeah, nice to see him. Fantastic reporter. Carrie Hinkle from Lexington, Kentucky from the Kentucky from U.S. Hemp Roundtable.
Lila Fatia of Blunt Strategies.
Jeremy Unruh from Chicago from PharmaCann.
And Sean McKenzie, New York for Social Economic Equity.
That's important. O'Keefe, who is the director of the State Policies for Marijuana Policy Project, cited 7 states during the live stream that might legalize adult use in cannabis in 2024.
Meanwhile, she described Virginia's cannabis regulations as being in this weird space where it's half legal. It's legal to possess, it's legal to grow, but there are no regulated sales.
And there's a chance that Virginia could finish the job. She said they have a new legislator with a Democratic majority that looks to get it done, but the governor is not interested.
So it remains to be seen if he would veto a bill if it lands on his desk. It almost sounds like decriminalization, where you could have it, but there's no source to buy it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, where do you get it from?
Yeah.
Lamers, the international editor at MJ Biz Daily, identified 8 countries to watch for new meaningful regulations and potential business opportunities.
He cautioned, however, that companies looking to import or export adult use cannabis are likely to be waiting years or decades because such an action would require approval by the International Narcotics Control Board and the United Nations.
Carrie Hinkle, the U.S. Hemp Roundtable's Director of Membership and Public Affairs, said that while the U.S. Farm Bill has been extended until September 30th, any person in politics will tell you it's not going to pass on September 30th.
In addition to laying out the hemp industry priorities for the Farm Bill, he told the LinkedIn Live attendees when agriculture experts do expect legislation to be passed.
Faye, a principal and partner at Blunt Strategies, said the widespread availability of low-dose THC products has created a loyal customer base, which she hopes will follow those brands when Minnesota's adult-use cannabis market launches.
Folks have become loyal to certain brands, especially a lot of our local Minnesota manufactured and retail brands, she says. We're going to have one of the most destigmatized and reasonably regulated rec marketplaces.
UNRWA, one of a handful of employees to launch multi-state operator Pharmacon about 10 years ago, is now the company's senior vice president of public and regulatory affairs. He shares his experience watching the regulated cannabis industry expand across the United States.
He says, securing one of the 5 medical licenses in New York was one of the first things our company ever did. We had a 6-month operational requirement, and that wasn't the same operational requirement you saw in other states, which was, hey, have one plant in your cultivation center, and you will be operational in terms of complying with these timelines.
A decade after New York's medical marijuana launch, Mackenzie, a real estate agent, co-founder of the New York for Social and Economic Equity and member of the New York COD Coalition, is working to ensure the state's adult use cannabis market is delivering on its promises of social equity.
The intention of the MRTA, which is the Marijuana Regulation and Taxation Act, is a really beautiful thing. It's a great piece of legislation, but I know how you will roll a market out. But I think how you will roll a market out is a completely different thing.
Yeah.
There you go.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See what happens over time. And Matt's right. Things take a long time.
Yeah, way too long. But good to watch. See how it goes.
Yeah.
They're still illegal
Yeah,
down there.
yeah.
They still can't have banking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know. It's just.
And it affects all of us up here in Canada because we can't have PayPal or we can't have Eventbrite or we can't have the things that we would put our cannabis words in that have anything to do with it. Because,
Yeah, it even affects our banking. As we've reported in the past, businesses have problems getting access to banks.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and it's all connected.
It's all connected.
Yeah. All right. On to story number 9. This one comes to us from High Times. Headline on it says, new study analyzed how zebrafish react to being dosed with psilocybin. Rev Kelly, they're getting fish stoned.
This is very, very interesting. A new study published in the peer-reviewed journal Nature explored the effects of giving psilocybin, the psychoactive compound found in magic mushrooms, to zebrafish.
Interest has developed in recent years in using zebrafish for psychedelic research. Zebrafish are a small striped fish that belong in the minnow family. According to a 2023 study of the zebrafish genome, also published in Nature, we share about 70% of our genes with these funny little creatures. They're also considered to be very social as far as fish go, making them good subjects for a study of psychedelics in particular and how they might affect human behavior. Here's the picture of these are the zebrafish. They're just little wee minnows.
It's incredible. They share 70% of our genes. Are the same as I now want to tank with these fish, Al, to study them.
I know, eh?
Amazing. It's the most recent study. It was published Wednesday, and it used machine tracking to analyze how psilocybin affects the swimming patterns of the zebrafish. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Here, we developed a wide field behavior tracking system for larval zebrafish and investigated the effects of psilocybin, a psychedelic serotonin receptor agonist. Machine leading analysis of precise body kinetics identified latent behavior states reflecting spontaneous exploitation, visually driven rapid swimming, and irregular swim patterns following stress exposure.
Okay. The study found two distinct patterns in how psilocybin affected their aquatic test subjects. They categorized the responses into stimulatory, meaning to excite, and exaltic, which is a term assigned to anti-anxiety medications. The researchers also found that the effects of the psilocybin were very similar to what we know about how zebrafish and humans react to ketamine.
They've been given the zebrafish ketamine too.
Seems like it, yes.
Using this method, we found that acute psilocybin treatment has two behavior effects: facilitation of a spontaneous exploitation and prevention of irregular swim patterns following stress exposure. These effects differed from the effect of acute SSRI treatment and were rather similar to the effects of ketamine treatment, the study says.
Wow. The language of the study clarified exactly how the behavior of the fish differed with regard to the two major effects they found psilocybin to have. As far as the stimulatory effects, the researchers explained that the fish explored more of an area than they ordinarily would while sober.
Let's go investigate. We found that acute short bath pre-treatment with psilocybin in larval zebrafish has stimulatory effects on spontaneous exploitation. We determined this pre-treatment protocol after testing doses between 1 UM and 5 UMs and durations between 30 minutes to 24 hours. Zebrafish typically swam near the wall in the small arena due to their innate preference called phygmotasis in our large arena. On the contrary, they explored widely and swam longer distances.
Okay.
I'm free.
With regard to the it's the stress effects of the psilocybin on zebrafish, the researchers studied their response by dosing the fish and then exposing them to stress, including rapid temperature changes in the pH level of the water, physically disturbing them, and social isolation. When stressed, sober zebrafish tend to swim in a zigzag pattern, but the researchers found that the fish dosed with psilocybin did not respond that way.
No. He says, we pre-tested fish for psilocybin with the most effective concentration for enhancing spontaneous exploitation, exposed them to stressors for 5 minutes, recovered them at a normal temperature, and tested their spontaneous exploitation and optometer response, the study says. Importantly, pre-treatment with psilocybin prevented stress-induced changes in swim patterns, psilocybin pre-treated fish exhibited straight swim patterns even after the stress exposure.
Amazing.
Wow.
This is amazing. I really want to see this done in a tank. This is not the first study, really, of the psychedelics on zebrafish. This has been done before. 2022 study by researchers at McEwen University studied the effects of giving zebrafish microdoses of acid, LSD. They actually found that small doses of LSD barely seemed to affect the zebrafish based on the parameters that they were looking at, which they surmised may point to a lack of addictive potential of LSD in humans. Wow.
Oh, yeah. In our first study, we repeatedly microdosed zebrafish with LSD using behavior neuroscience tests to qualify locomotion, boldness, and anxiety-like behavior. We observed no impact on behavior after 10 days of repeated dosing, said the summary of the study published in the conversation. Like with terpenes, this may suggest a lack of withdrawal symptoms or addictive potential, which is encouraging for clinical viability for use in humans.
Amazing.
Come on, fish.
70% genes. Interest in zebrafish for clinical psychedelic research is growing, as a 2021 study published in the National Library of Medicine put it. The utility of zebrafish in neuroscience research is rapidly growing due to their high psychological and genetic homology to humans, ease of genetic manipulation, robust behaviors, and cost effectiveness. These fish are awesome. They're our
There
cousins.
you go, eh?
They're our
Wow.
cousin fish.
Yeah.
And they like psychedelics, Al. We're good
They
with
obviously do, and it improves them when they're
Yeah.
being stressed.
Yeah.
You know, going like this to
Yeah.
going like this.
Nice to hear. What an
Yeah,
incredible
yeah.
study. Wow.
I never heard about zebrafish being used for psychedelics.
Now my new favorite fish.
Yeah.
Cousin zebras. Mhm.
That's right. Okay, on to our last story of the day. And this story comes to us from Marijuana Moment. And the headline on it says USDA sends thousands of surveys to hemp farmers to understand industry growth and challenges.
That's right. It's the Department of Agriculture, and they're sending out thousands of surveys to hemp farmers across the country. And that's going to better understand the state of the industry as part of its annual data collection initiative.
The USDA launched its first annual survey in 2021, and it updated the questionnaire last year before distributing it to the farmers and releasing a report with the findings that show significant declines in the value and production of the crop in 2022.
Yeah, as in past rounds, the department's latest survey that was distributed on Monday asks questions about plans for outdoor hemp production, acreage for operations, primary and secondary uses for the crop, and what kinds of prices producers are able to bring in. The questionnaire lists preparations such as smokable hemp, grain for human consumption, fiber, and seeds as areas the USDA is interested in learning more about.
The survey, which is being sent to more than 6,000 farmers, also asks about hemp harvested to extract CBD, CBG, CBN, and other cannabinoids and or terpenes for use in oils, lotions, cleansers, bath products, and other nutraceutical or topical products.
Right. The hemp production and disposition inquiry will provide critical data about the hemp industry to assist producers, regulatory agencies, state governments, processors, and other key industry entitles. It's a quote from USDA attributed to the various agencies' officials in regional versions of a press release about the survey.
Results of the survey will be published in the USDA's website on April the 17th. The questionnaire also goes over whether farmers are hand trimming the hemp they produce, what kind of yields they've harvested, and how they obtain the seeds and clones they use.
It's very interesting and needed data, that's for sure. Meanwhile, USDA is reportedly revoking hemp licenses for farmers who are simultaneously growing cannabis, marijuana, under state-approved programs, underscoring yet another policy conflict is stemming from ongoing federal prohibition of some forms of the cannabis plant. So they're saying that they're not, if they're growing hemp, they can't be growing cannabis or the marijuana
Correct.
version,
Yeah.
as they say.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Federal hemp rules could be further amended as part of the next iteration of large-scale agricultural legislation. In the 28th Farm Bill that legalized the crop was supposed to get updated last year, but it's been extended through much of 2024. Gee, it sounds like our Cannabis Act.
Yeah. Lawmakers and stakeholders are eyeing a number of proposals that could be incorporated, including measures to free up hemp businesses to legally market products like CBD as dietary supplements or in the food supply, and to remove restrictions on participation in the industry by people with certain prior drug convictions.
For the first time, the hemp industry continues to face unique regulatory hurdles that stakeholders blame for the crop's value plummeting in the short years since its legalization. Despite the economic conditions, however, a recent report found that the hemp market in 2022 was larger than all state marijuana markets, and it roughly equaled sales of craft beer nationally. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mm.
Meanwhile, internally at USDA, food safety workers are being encouraged to exercise caution and avoid cannabis products, including federally legal CBD, as the agency observes an uptick in positive THC tests amid confusion as more states enact legalization.
There you go.
Mm.
You want to know more about the hemp end of things? But yeah, you know, even they mentioned at the beginning there about decline, but then they turned around and said it's equal to the craft beer sales.
Yeah.
So,
Interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yes. Yeah. Well, anything you got to say before we get rolling here to close things off?
See you next Monday.
Right.
Do not incarcerate.
That's right. Exactly. Or hang people. That's our news for January the 22nd from the Legacy420.com news desk. Thanks to our buds at Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, Limestone City Hydroponics, and of course, Legacy420.com. As you said, in closing, we like to say, educate, medicate, and do not incarcerate.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
When you have a pain that's reached its peak, Legacy for 20, it's so unique. If organic cannabis is what you seek, here's your trusted partner 7 days a week. Suppository salves, vapes and drops, topicals, edibles, infused pop. Just when life seems like it ain't easy, at Legacy 420, enjoy a pop freezy. Lab tested products, make them the GOAT. Legacy 420 out on your road. Legacy 420 in Tyndonega Mohawk territory. Indigenous organic cannabis at its finest.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548
420. We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.